This flipped lesson is on writing a critical lens essay. For all of you, you're at the point where your body paragraphs are very good and you're ready to move on to a different type of essay writing. So a critical lens essay is an entire essay that you will write, not just the body paragraphs. Basically, the way it works is you're given a quotation, and your job in the essay is to explain what the quotation means, tell us whether you agree with it or not, and then use a story, a piece of literature, to back up your opinion, to defend your opinion. Now, these are good in one way. You don't need to necessarily quote full on like you would in a normal essay. But the reason for that is you're not allowed to. You're usually given an essay like this in a timed scenario, meaning we give you the quotation and you have to write the essay using your memory of stories you've read. So we're going to start working on this in class now, and I'm going to explain, one, the overall structure of an essay, because we haven't really worked on introductions and conclusions yet, and then two, how to apply that structure to a critical lens essay. So here's the overall structure of an essay. We worked on body paragraphs to death at this point, and you should be able to write them. We've worked on them so much, though, because they're the most important part. But that doesn't mean an introduction and a conclusion should be written shoddily. An introduction is very easy. You start off general, you get specific. For a critical lens essay, though, it's even easier than that, and I'll show you that on the next few slides. But basically, an introduction begins with just a general overview of the essay. One sentence. What's your topic here? Give us the idea. Don't start too broad. Don't start at the dawn of time. Just say, basically what this essay is going to be about. And then you get a little bit more specific. You set it up. Give all the context that we need to be able to understand the thesis that you're going to prove. And then you end the introduction with the thesis. What's the specific point that you're going to argue? And then you might give us a preview of how you'll argue it. So by looking at this, this, and this, we will see that. By looking at how cats are better than dogs because they're cleaner, because they're smarter, because they are more entertaining, we will see that cats are better than dogs. Something along those lines. The body paragraph, you've done this already. The conclusion, very simple. It's not just a summary. It starts out like that. Give it one sentence where you summarize what you've proved in this essay. Just one sentence, though. The bulk of the conclusion should be a giant version of the end of the body paragraph. Not necessarily giant, doesn't have to be too long, but your job is to draw big conclusions. Why did you make me read this essay? What was the point of this whole thing? What did you show us? What big ideas did you help us see or think about? If you memorize this structure and just plug everything you need into this format, you will write good essays. So I want you to look at this, use this, keep using it. Let's start, though, with an introduction. I'll go right to the introduction first, though, and then I'll go back to the requirements. For a critical lens essay, what I said you have to do is explain what a quote means, tell us whether you agree with it or not, and then basically back up your opinion with pieces of literature. So here's what we would do. Let's take the quote from class. If the literature we are reading does not wake us, why then do we read it? A literary work must be an ice axe to break the sea frozen inside us. So an opening statement for a critical lens essay is extremely easy. Always with an opening statement, you introduce us to the overall topic of the essay. Well, for a critical lens essay, that topic's going to be the quote. So just give us the quote. Franz Kafka once said, quote, and then write it out. That's it. Start there. Now the setup for a critical lens essay is also very easy, as long as you understand the quote. Just explain what the quote means. This suggests that good literature changes us, breaking down old fixed notions we have of the world and forcing us to rethink them. So in the setup, you explain what the quote means, and now that sets us up for whether or not you agree with it. Do you agree with the idea that literature should change us? So tell us. And this is where your thesis comes in. And you want to add the work of literature you're going to use to your thesis. By looking at Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the validity of this quote will become clear. Both the theme of the mariner's story and the characterization of the wedding guest who hears the mariner's story demonstrate that good storytelling must unfreeze the ways people look at the world. So you see, in this thesis, I show you that I agree with the quote, I show you how I'm going to prove that the quote is true, and I give you a little bit of a preview. So obviously my first body paragraph will probably be about the theme of the mariner's story, and my second body paragraph will be about the wedding guest. So this is an introduction. It's very simple. And now you know how to do the body paragraphs. One body paragraph by saying, clearly the quote is true because of the mariner's story. Prove it. Clearly the quote is true because of the wedding guest. Prove it. Now, the details of that we'll work on in class, but I want you to just get used to the overall structure here. The way that these essays are graded is very simple and normal. You know that sound. You must know where I am now. It's basically 4 categories. Do you answer the question fully and completely? Are your examples specific, explained, and convincing? Do your ideas flow with clarity and structure? Is your writing strong and well proofread? So that's pretty simple. Do you answer the question? Do you give evidence to prove your point? Do you organize the essay well? Is your writing clear and, does it lack errors or is it full of errors? So that's how it's graded. The only requirements are exactly what I said. You have to make sure that you prove your point. So prove what the quote means. Tell us whether you agree with it or not. Choose a piece of literature to back up the quote. And then basically just make sure that you write clearly. So we're going to work on this tomorrow. And this is how. For the first 20 minutes or so, I'm going to write an entire essay with you. You will help me. And so the idea is the introduction looked really easy, hopefully, from this video. And I think you can pretty much follow that like it's a cookie cutter. Just follow through the steps and make your introductions. But actually, turning that thesis into a good essay might be a little tricky, so I'll show you how to do it. Then afterwards, you have to write your own essay. So you'll have either 20 or 30 minutes. I'm not collecting it at the end, but you will have to finalize it by next week. Now, that's a little bit easier because usually these essays are written in class and finalized in class, but I'll give you time to perfect it so that you can really learn this structure. But for that last 20 minutes or 30 minutes of class tomorrow, you're going to write your own essay. Now, what I want you to do is to find a quote that you want to write about. What I would do, don't search critical lens quotes because they'll be really generic. Find something that you know will work. So think about a topic you want to discuss in A Tale of Two Cities, because I want your essay to be on A Tale of Two Cities. War, revenge, revolution, love, sacrifice, all these things. Just search quotes about war. Find something you think looks really good, seems connected to A Tale of Two Cities. And what I want you to do just for homework to show me you've watched this video is find the quote and just put it into the Google form on my website. Make sure you bring the quote tomorrow to class because you're going to use that to write your critical lens essay. So email me with any questions and we'll keep working on this in class.